This week I'm making an incense holder, the kind you use for incense coils or mosquito coils. Around here at the end of summer, mosquitoes are really annoying, so mosquito repellent coils are really useful. But I want to keep them safe and out of the way. This is where these incense holders come in. So this is a pierced lidded container. The lid comes off and it's easy to light or change the coils. So let's get started. I've prepared 2 pieces of clay. One's 600 grams, the other's 900 grams. I'm using a terracotta clay. So I'm starting by making the base. So I take the larger piece of clay and I'm centering. Okay, so this terracotta is a little gritty. Cone up and down a couple of times to redistribute. I like using terracotta clay for its rich red colour when it's fired. And I can once fire these because they're unglazed. Of course, you could glaze them. So now I'm just flattening out the clay. I'm flattening it out to about 16 centimeters. So now push into the clay and open out. And remember to go back over and smooth and compress the base. And then start to bring the walls up. Make sure you don't make the walls too thin at this stage, or it'll make it difficult to cut into them later on. And I'm just going to use my flexible rib to straighten up the sides. Now I'm just trimming around the base, smoothing a little more, and I'm ready to wire through. So I'm going to make the top now. Take my smaller piece of clay and center. So just coning up and down and pushing out the clay to 17 centimeters. So now I'm going to open out, and as I open out, I'm creating a very shallow flange at about 14.5 centimeters. That's going to sit on the inside edge of the rim of the base. So a couple of things here. We want to make sure we compress the lid very well, the middle of the lid, and get it smooth. And I'm just going to check the thickness. Now it's kind of important that the lid not be too thick or too thin, or I'll run into problems when I'm cutting out the shapes. So I'm just refining the outer rim, and then I can wire through. So now I've dried to leather hard stage, and I'm just fitting the base on my Giffen grip, and I'm just going to trim the base. So to trim the base, I'm simply giving the base a concave curve so it sits well on a table. So trimming around the outer edge. That gives the pot a little bit of lift, and then starting in the middle and trimming out to that edge. Go over the base a couple of times, and then I'm using my flexible rib to smooth the clay down, especially since this is a slightly gritty terracotta. Just making sure that the base is really well smoothed. So now we're ready to trim the base of the lid. This of course will become the top. I'm just fixing the lid to make it fin grip. And once again, this is simple trimming. I'm starting in the middle and working my way out to the edge with the trimming tool. Trimming around the edge a little, trying to get a good shape. And of course smoothing it. And then compressing using a flexible rib and running over it a few times. That looks pretty good. So now we're ready to start cutting out. So I've just placed the lid on a cutting board and I'm using a circle tool to make some simple circle shapes. And here you can see why I wanted to make sure that the clay is not too dry, as it'll just break and crumble when you cut into the lid. You can also see here that it's important that the lid is neither too thick nor thin at this point. So I'm just cutting out some heart shapes so these cutouts can be as elaborate as you like. Great. So now we're taking the base and we're cutting out the sides. This is pretty simple. I'm just cutting some circles into the sides and cleaning up a bit. I will say that be sure to leave enough space between the cutouts. If you make them too close, you can run into problems with the clay cracking as they dry. And now we can let these pieces dry, but before we do that, let's just make sure the lid fits. Great. So here it is, dried and fired. No need to glaze, so super simple finishing. Perfect. I hope you find this video useful. So once again, your support is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and like and comment below. Happy potting, and as always, thanks for watching.